Minister brings climate change message to the University of Missouri, government to implement drought mitigation measures, and February 13 multi-agency tour of St. Elizabeth communities. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Vanessa Silvera. Prime Minister Andrew Holness left the island last week Tuesday for a 4-day visit to the University of Missouri in the United States of America. The Prime Minister was a presenter at the school's Black History Month lecture series. On Thursday, he addressed students on democracy, youth leadership, and the future of the world. As future leaders, Mr. Holness urged the students to make addressing challenges related to climate change a priority.
My position to young people would be for them to develop a sense of consciousness about this issue, for what the future of the world could look like. Because the truth is that the future of the world could see many of these islands losing their coastal areas, many of them being not viable because of frequent natural disaster events, many of them suffering from extreme drought and extreme flooding.
Prime Minister Holness also spoke on the state of Jamaica's and the Caribbean's constitutional democracy. He told the gathering that the English-speaking Caribbean was among the world's best stable liberal democracies. He pointed out that Jamaica had never experienced an unconstitutional challenge to its political system and had enshrined certain inalienable rights.
Regardless of economic fortunes, and we have not always had great economic fortunes. Indeed, for almost 40 of our 60 years of independence, we have not had good economic fortunes. But regardless of our economic fortunes, Jamaica has never wavered from democracy.
And while in the United States Wednesday, the Prime Minister announced by-elections for southeastern Clarendon following the resignation of Member of Parliament Rudyard Spencer. Mr. Spencer also resigned as Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security. In a statement, Mr. Holness said nomination day would be on February 12, while the by-election day would be March 2. Ahead of assignment in the United States, the Prime Minister met with reggae Grammy winner Coffee. The 19-year-old made history last month, becoming the youngest female solo act to win the reggae category for her EP Rapture.
Produce people who keep adding value to brand Jamaica. So, we already had Blue Mountain coffee. And now we have coffee. The original coffee.
Back on the island Sunday, Prime Minister Holness attended the unveiling of a statue in honor of Olympian Asafa Powell.
Today, we celebrate an extraordinary Jamaican, one who over the years has been able to lift our spirits, strengthen our resolve, and add luster to brand Jamaica globally.
Also coming out of the office of the Prime Minister this past week, Minister without portfolio Pernell Childs Jr. announced the government's plans to supply communities with water. The measures come as the island is experiencing a period of drought, which is expected to last until April. Among the initiatives is the establishment of a drought management committee under the Integrated Water Resources Management Council.
The drought management plan also has within its components drought response activities that are aimed at the rapid intervention for the prevention of loss of lives, protection of health, prevention of loss, of course, of livelihood and property.
During a drought mitigation press conference at Jamaica House, Minister Childs Jr. said the committee was being chaired by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. There will also be representatives from the Ministries of Health, local government, and economic growth and job creation. In the meantime, Minister Childs says 26 rural water supply projects supplying 56,000 residents are to be completed in 2020. 38 are also being retrofitted with rainwater harvesting systems by March, while the trucking of water to the most affected areas will be ramped up.
During the drought period, the fee for sterilization is proposed to be waived, something which several truckers that we have interacted with and engaged has indicated as one of the obstacles to them doing more trucking.
And word came Friday that Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Darrell Vaz, is to lead a multi-agency tour of communities in St. Elizabeth. The February 13 tour is aimed at addressing land and environmental issues faced by communities. Minister Vaz will also look into the dust reportedly coming from the dry Gequan Iron and Steel Company Gisco Mud Lake at Marsville in the parish. Representatives from the National Environment and Planning Agency and Gisco, the Member of Parliament for the area, as well as community organizations are expected to be part of the tour. In a release, Minister Vaz said he had taken note of the health and environmental concerns of the residents of Nain and surrounding communities. The minister said new protocols would be established to deal with the dust challenge from the Red Mud Lake. Gisco's production operations closed down in September 2019 to allow for a 2-year refurbishing exercise. That's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the Office of the Prime Minister.